Hello all, welcome to yet another live session of Narayana IAS Academy. This is Sureka Bhaskar presenting to you the daily news analysis. And as all of you know, for today's discussion, we've actually picked up a number of articles from both the Hindu as well as the Indian Express, which become extremely important and relevant for the UPSC CSE examination. Now, without any further delay, let us actually look into the topics that we've actually picked, and as our daily routine, let's actually start with our motivation. Hello all, welcome to yet another live session of Narayana IAS Academy. As all of you know, this is Sureka Bhaskar presenting to you the daily news analysis. We are extremely sorry for the slight mistake that we actually committed because we opened up the previous presentation. So for today's analysis, we've actually picked up a number of articles from both the Hindu as well as the Indian Express that become extremely important for the UPSC CSE examination. Now, before moving into and looking into the discussion of what are all the articles we've picked up, let's actually start with the daily dose of motivation. So the motivation that is behind me, or that we have actually chosen to give it to you or to pass on to you today, is that life is like a camera. So what you need to do is just focus on what is important. We need to capture on what, the good times that we actually come across, and also we need to develop from the negatives. If things don't work out, we need to take another shot. So with this, let us quickly look into the number of topics that we've actually picked up. And even before that, let's see what different we at Narayana IAS Academy have actually come up with in order to ease your preparation for the UPSC CSE examination. So we actually have a 1-year prelims cum mains integrated course for the year 2026, and we have a 2-year prelim cum mains integrated course for the 2027 examination. And also we have the total instruction hours of 1000 hours, which actually include 800 plus hours of our GS as well as CSAT, and you have 200 hours of current affairs, which will be a one-stop solution for you to understand the topics that are actually revolving across the country as well as the world. And moving forward, we will be providing you with a detailed micro schedule that has been planned and has been curated by our R&D team in order to ease your preparation, and also which will actually give you the day-to-day schedule so that you do not getting lost in the vast expanse of the UPSC syllabus. Moving forward, we also have the expert faculty, and also we provide with regular testing as well as a feedback system so that there is an understanding of your performance from day to day, okay, so that you can make a comparative analysis of where you started and to where you have actually reached over the days or months. Moving forward, we also provide you with updated as well as properly researched and curated materials. That is, Narayana IAS study kit comprises of 12 Navigator NCRT books as well as 12 GS books, okay. And also we actually have the prelims as well as the mains PYQs that have been categorized or thematically arranged for you. And then we provide you with digital sources, that is around 250 plus handwritten answers by experts who have appeared for or up until the interview stage of the examination. And finally, we have the monthly Navigator magazine, which again becomes a one-stop comprehensive coverage of the occurrences, that is events of national and international importance, and takes you through various themes as well as different subjects which become important for specifically your mains and the interview stage of the examination. Now, moving forward, it is important for us to discuss the topics that we've actually picked up. So, the first topic that we have picked up becomes very important. Okay, so it says India needs to prioritize preventive care. So here we need to know why India actually needs to prioritize this particular preventive care, because of the increase in the number of NCDs, that is nothing but the non-communicable diseases. So in this particular topic, we will be discussing about what are non-communicable diseases, what are the causes of non-communicable diseases, what can be the consequences, and whether there have been any recent health reports that have been released by ICMR, etc., on the status of non-communicable diseases in India. And we will also discuss about the global initiatives such as the NCD Alliance, the Sustainable Development Goals, etc., as well as the national initiatives that India has taken in order to deal with this particular disease. Moving forward, the second article we've actually picked up is PM must set up the independent panel in order to review the Great Nicobar Project Congress. So this particular article has also been picked up from page number 12 of The Hindu, where we will be discussing about this particular Great Nicobar infrastructure project. And before that, we will be understanding the Andaman as well as Nicobar archipelago, and where does this particular Great Nicobar Island is located, and what is this particular infrastructure project that has actually been initiated by the government since the period of 2021. What are all going to be the significance, that is strategically where it is going to place India, economically what is the kind of boost it's going to give to your economy, at the same time what are all the consequences or the impacts that this infrastructure project will have on ecology, the biodiversity, as well as other environmental pollution, etc. Now, moving forward, the third article has also been picked up from page number 12 of The Hindu. This is about the RRTS system. Okay, so here Delhi to Meerut to take under 40 minutes on new RRTS system. So here we'll be discussing about what is this Delhi to Meerut range, and what is the transportation line, and what you mean by an RRTS system, what is the operational efficiency, what is the design efficiency, and how is it going to reduce the cost as well as the time, how it is going to reduce pollution. All these things we'll be discussing in this particular article. Now moving forward, the final article for the day has been picked up from page number 1 of the Delhi edition of The Hindu, Tribal Festival. So here they have actually spoken about the Toda tribe, and these tribal group actually belong to the PVTGs. They are nothing but the particularly vulnerable tribal groups. We will actually see who are the PVTGs and the maximum number of PVTGs actually reside in which state. Okay. And also we will see what are the criteria that a person actually has to satisfy in order to be deemed to as a PVTG and actually act as a beneficiary under the government schemes, etc., is what we'll be discussing in this particular article. So having discussed this, with no further delay, let's actually start with our very first topic, that is, India needs to prioritize preventive care. Okay, so this is the topic we'll be discussing. So as I already gave you an introduction, these kind of diseases become first of all very important, and understanding how it is caused, and then what are the measures taken by the government, what are the global initiatives, and where India actually stands across, when compared to that of the other global economies, become very important. And what is the status of India's healthcare infrastructure is what becomes even more important. Okay, and what are the way forward as suggested by the author is what we will be discussing. So here we'll be discussing about non-communicable diseases as well as healthcare in India. And this particular topic becomes very, very important from general science perspective because we're going to discuss about NCDs, etc. And for mains, it actually comes under GS paper 2, health and government policies as well as intervention. Now let's move forward to see what has been the PYQ that was actually asked. So the PYQ in 2021 prelims examination was on in the context of hereditary diseases. Consider the following statements. So all these kind of diseases itself become very, very important, whether it is hereditary disease or whether it is a genetic disease, that is what the hereditary disease, and then whether it is an autoimmune disease or what kind of communicable diseases and what are the vectors that actually transmit, whether which are the pathogens actually cause them, whether it's virus, bacteria, algae, fungi, all these things become important. Now let's move forward and understand this particular topic. So why this topic has actually been in news? Because India is experiencing a significant increase in the burden of non-communicable diseases, and this is actually causing a concern and strain on India's healthcare infrastructure or Indian healthcare system. Okay, now let us actually move forward to understand what are non-communicable diseases. See, the term itself actually tells, right? They are non-communicable. That means these are the diseases that actually are not transferred from one person to another. So these are not even short term, they are long term diseases and they are chronic diseases, and the causes include, you can actually either inherit from your ancestors or your parents, or it can be physiological due to your behavioral activities, due to your lifestyle on a day-to-day basis, etc. And it can also be environmental. Okay, and so these are not infections and cannot be transmitted from person to person. And there are categories of NCDs. They can be cardiovascular diseases. What are cardiovascular diseases? These actually include stroke, it actually includes heart attacks, etc. So these are the cardiovascular diseases, and they also include cancers. And next one is chronic respiratory conditions. You heard about these, heavy respiratory breathing conditions like asthma, and also there are chronic obstructive pulmonary disorders. All these things as well as diabetes, all these actually form a part of NCDs, that is non-communicable diseases. Okay. Moving forward, let's see what are the causes. I already told you, right? There are genetic causes. Okay, there are also because of behavioral factors, that is excessive use of tobacco, excessive use of harmful alcohol, and then unhealthy dietary patterns, then consumption of a large amount of junk food or processed food, and physical inactivity. All this can cause your NCDs. That is what it can actually be genetic in nature. It can be physiological, environmental, as well as behavioral. The key factors actually include the tobacco use, alcohol consumption, unhealthy diet habits, as well as there is obesity, then high blood pressure, and then rising levels of cholesterol. All these things actually lead to NCDs. Next one, also the lifestyle choices. That is, if you are addicted to something and then excessive intake of unhealthy food, all this actually are the results of NCDs. What do you mean? These are the causes of NCDs. What are the consequences of all these things? There will be disability. Of course, there will be lower quality of life. And then there will be premature death in chronic or extreme conditions. And also, we find that these NCDs actually cause 7 out of 10 deaths globally. Okay, so 7 out of 10 deaths that happen globally are due to NCDs. Next one, this heavily impacts the economies. How? Because it's actually going to lower the productivity of an individual, right? So the amount of time that an individual is going to invest in working, that is actually going to be reduced, and in hand it's going to reduce the productivity and efficiency of the entire economy. So it reduced productivity during the prime working years. This actually affects the economy and also impacts that is, it's going to increase your healthcare costs because you're not going to be well for a prolonged period of time. So these are the causes and the consequences of NCDs. Now let us see about the NCD burden in India. So anything that happens, you need to know what is the status of that particular issue in India. Okay, for example, internet shutdown. What is the status of that in India? Then example, you have communicable diseases. What is the status? Tuberculosis, what is the status? So India's status and what are the initiatives taken by the government in order to address it, as well as what is the way forward and which are all the global examples from where India can draw inspiration. All that becomes important. Now, let us see this particular report, okay, by the Indian Council of Medical Research, and the report is named as India Health of the Nation States Report. So, according to the report, NCDs in India, excuse me. So, according to this report, NCDs in India was actually around 38% in 1990, but it has actually doubled over a period, and if you saw in 2016 it accounted for 61.8%. And also, as per this particular report, NCDs accounted for 55% of the total disability adjusted life years. So what do you mean by disability adjusted life years? That is the number of years you lose in or because of disability. Okay, so this is your DALI, that is disability adjusted life years in India. And also the report actually found out that developed states are those which has higher burden of NCDs compared to that of less developed ones. And the key risk factors are increased, alcohol consumption, tobacco, poor diet habits, lack of physical activity, etc. And also, if you take the National Family Health Survey, that is the NFHS survey, this actually says that NFHS, these observations are also very, very important. This says that heart disease, stroke, diabetes, cancer, all these account for 65% of the deaths in India in 2022 and 50%, which was actually 50% in the year 2010 to 2013. And also the World Health Organization has actually projected that the economic burden because the economic loss or the financial loss that the country is going to incur by 2030 because of NCDs is going to be around 280 lakh crores. Okay. So this is what is the status of NCD burden in India and the observation of various reports including the WHO. Now, let us discuss the initiatives to address the NCDs, and if it is not visible, let me actually zoom it and show it to you in a closer way. Yeah, so first let us actually discuss about the global initiatives. Okay, so what are the global initiatives? First one, we actually have the Sustainable Development Goals. Okay, so this actually aims to reduce the number of deaths or the premature deaths by that is caused by NCDs by 1/3 of 2020, and this actually belongs to SDG 3.4. So here you need to know what are the number of SDGs starting from 1 to 17. Okay, so 3.4 actually aims to reduce the number of premature deaths caused by NCD by 1/3 by 2030. Next one is WHO Global Action Plan. This actually aims at 25% reduction in the premature NCD deaths by 2025 through 9 global targets. So what are the 9 global targets? It's your work to know. Moving forward, we have the WHO Tobacco Framework. This is nothing but it is an international treaty that aims to reduce the overall consumption of tobacco and it's the health impacts that it's going to have. Next one, you have the NCD Alliance. This is nothing but it is a global network. It is a global network advocating policy changes and investments in the prevention of NCDs as well as management. Now moving forward, let us actually see India's initiatives. Okay, so the first initiative is National Program for Prevention and Control, that is the prevention and control of cancer, diabetes, cardiovascular disease as well as stroke. That is nothing but NPCD-CS initiative. So here this focuses on creating the essential infrastructure, also making people aware of the NCDs and then aware of your early diagnosis and treatment of the same under something called as NHM, that is your National Health mission. So you need to know under National Health Mission what are all the initiatives the government has actually come across. Okay, one can be towards ending tobacco, one can, sorry, tuberculosis, one can be towards ending your NCDs, one can be with respect to your communicable diseases. Okay, next one is Fit India movement. This movement actually promotes the fitness as well as yoga through the Ministry of Youth Affairs as well as Ayush. Moving forward, yeah. Next one, the government has actually established the Ayushman Bharat Health as well as Wellness Centers. Okay, so Ayushman Bharat Health and Wellness Centers. This actually strengthened the prevention of the non-communicable diseases through wellness programs and community level communication. Next one, affordable medicine initiative. This is nothing but this is setting up of Amrit outlets. Okay, so this provides cancer as well as cardiovascular drugs for the patients at discounted rates. And finally, there is Jan Aushadhi stores which are actually set up in order to supply the generic medicines at affordable prices. So here also you need to know what are generic medicines. Okay, so now let us actually move forward. Yeah. So now, what is the way forward? First one, we need to strengthen the early intervention capabilities. Okay. So you need to use these wellness centers in order to make the risk-driven targeted screening. You need to make the screening more easier and more accessible to a wide range of people. Also, we need to have artificial intelligence enabled imaging technologies. Okay. So you need to provide low cost as well as large scale screening solutions. And finally, you need to involve the private stakeholders also in the screening process. And then whatever cess or the surcharges that we actually collect, for example, 35% of GST is levied on the consumption of tobacco, right? So whatever you collect, that funds have to be directed towards these healthcare initiatives or for preventive health measures is what the article actually discusses. Okay, so now we've actually understood. Yeah, the next one is increasing the tax deduction limits. This we actually saw, and also we need to prioritize the preventive care. Okay, rather than the you need to know what kind of health care we need to give over the reactive treatments in order to reduce the financial as well as the economical burden. And also you need to improve the awareness among the public and adopt preventive health services for a healthy economy. So this is what is this entire article talking about, the increased burden of the NCDs in India. Now, let's move forward to the next most important topic, that is PM must set up independent panel in order to review the Great Nicobar Project. So in this particular article, we'll be discussing about Great Nicobar infrastructure projects, and also we'll be understanding about the Great Nicobar Islands. So this topic becomes important as a part of prelims under current events of national and international importance. And for the mains examination, it comes under GS paper 3, environment and ecology, environmental pollution and degradation. Now let's move forward to understand the PYQ. So there has been a previous year question in the year 2014 with respect to 10-degree channel. That is 10-degree channel actually separates which two of the island groups is what was asked. Okay. So similarly 11-degree channel, 12-degree channel, or if there are any kind of channels, the isthmus, the straits, the canals, etc., and in which of the water bodies they are located in, and these water bodies actually have a boundary with which of the, or they share international boundary with which countries, all this become very, very important. So having said this, let's quickly move into this particular topic. So there is this Great Nicobar Island Infrastructure Project. So this has actually raised questions about sustainable government. What are all its priorities? Okay, what is the accountability of large scale projects in case they are actually affecting the sensitive ecosystems? And this has also, because why these questions are being asked? Because of such big infrastructure projects, there is a huge tussle or conflict between the development as well as environmental conservation. Okay, so what happens is we are actually running in vicious cycle. So what happens, we invest some amount of money for a project. Okay, so this project is going to affect, or on one side this is actually going to affect your environment in terms of the pollution or discharge of sewage into the water bodies. It's going to cause habitat destruction, and there's going to be imbalance in the biodiversity, etc. But on the other hand, there is actually going to be economic development, because India is actually going to be a hub for some kind of tourism, etc. Okay, but again this is going to result in what? Economic development will result again in environmental degradation. If there is environmental degradation, again it is actually going to cause huge economic burden and losses for the economy. So how do we actually deal with it? Whether development as well as environmental conservation and sustainable development goes hand in hand, or whether there is really a conflict between both. So that actually becomes a main topic. So here we'll be discussing about this particular the Great Nicobar Infrastructure Project. Okay, so you need to know that these Andaman as well as Nicobar Islands, that is this archipelago, which means a large group of islands, that is what is called as archipelago, right? So this is a group of around 836 islands that are located in Bay of Bengal, with the northern portion is called as the Andaman Islands and the southern is called as the Nicobar Islands. Okay, so this is what it is. And where is Great Nicobar? What is over here is called as Great Nicobar, and government is planning the infrastructure project is over here. Okay, which is the southernmost tip of India. So this is what are the Indra Point. Okay, so now let us move forward in first understanding what is this Andaman and Nicobar Island. As I told you, a group of 836 islands in Bay of Bengal, with Andaman Islands in the north and Nicobar Islands in the south, and both these are separated by 10-degree channel. Very, 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 very important. Now moving forward, if you see the total area or geographical area of this is all about Great Nicobar. Okay, so let's see. The Great Nicobar Islands actually has an entire area of around 900 square kilometers, and this is the largest island in the entire Andaman and Nicobar group of islands or archipelago. Location: the southernmost tip of the Nicobar group of islands, right? Because here are the Andaman group of islands and here is the Nicobar, and the southernmost tip is the Great Nicobar. Okay, and this is actually 520 kilometers from Port Blair. So this is what it is. Next one, the southernmost point is actually called as Indira Point, which was previously called as the Pygmalion Point, and the headquarters is located at Campbell Bay. So all these actually become important prelim pointers. Next one, let's see what is the kind of flora, the fauna, the vegetation and the kind of people or indigenous people or tribes which are located here, and also we'll know whether they have actually got any kind of protected areas, whether they have been recognized by UNESCO, etc. We'll discuss. Okay, so the forest and terrain is, the forests are wet evergreen forest, and they have a number of mountain ranges, with Mount Tulier as the highest peak, which is around 642 meters. Now moving forward, the fauna actually includes the crab eating macaque, the Nicobar tree shrew, it has dugong, and also has Nicobar megapod. Okay, so this is an important species, and this is conserved under Schedule 1 of WPA, that is Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. Then it also has serpent eagle, it has saltwater crocodiles as well as a number of turtles, especially the leatherback turtle. So this is also under Schedule 1 of WPA. Okay. Now moving on to the flora, there are different kinds of flora that inhabit this particular region. This actually includes the tree ferns, okay, and it has the orchids, and then gymnosperms, the bryophytes, the lichens, etc. So these kind of plant classes, classification you need to know. What do you mean by gymnosperms, angiosperms, whether they're seed bearing, whether the seed is exposed, naked, all those things you need to know. Now, the protected areas in this region include the Great Nicobar Biosphere Reserve, the Campbell Bay National Park, as well as the Galatea National Park, and it actually has the UNESCO recognition, that is UNESCO's World Network of Biosphere Reserves under Man and Biosphere program. Okay, so these are certain pointers about this particular Great Nicobar Islands. Now let us see some of the socio-economic features. Okay, so it has a number of the tribal communities living there, specifically who are PVTGs. Okay, particularly vulnerable tribal groups. They include the Shompen as well as the Nicobaris. These are of the Mongoloid origin. Also, if you see, they are mostly, the settler communities. Over 8,000 settlers and mainlanders are actually settling down in the southern or southeastern part of this region. And also, they predominantly practice agriculture, horticulture and fishing as the primary livelihoods. Okay. Now, let's understand about this project. This particular project was, actually introduced by the government with an outlay of 72,000 crores for bringing about infrastructure in this particular Great Nicobar Island. Okay, so this was initiated in the year 2021, and this was with the aim to transform the southernmost part of India into a strategic as well as economic hub. Okay, so now let us actually see how it is going to be a strategic as well as economic hub. So if you see this particular group of islands, these are the Andaman Islands, these are the Nicobar Islands, and they are actually separated from each other by the 10-degree channel, and this is the Great Nicobar. And here if you see, this is the Great Nicobar Island where the infrastructure project is actually going to be taking place. Okay, so let us actually see more on this particular infrastructure development. What is the kind of infrastructure that's going to develop is that there's going to be a construction of transshipment port, okay, in order to enhance the international cargo movement. Because if you actually see this particular the transshipment here, Indira Point, which is actually the southernmost point of this particular island, right? This is actually located around 20 to 40 kilometers from major international sea routes, like you have the Malacca Strait. Okay, now what is the importance of these international sea routes? They actually act for, or they account for 20 to 25% of global sea trade, as well as 35% of world oil supplies. And currently if you see, 75% of, or 75 to 80% of the cargo shipments or India's transshipments actually take place, at ports outside India. Okay, the Singapore port, etc. So for this purpose, in order to develop this as actually an economic hub, the government actually wants to start or to make the southernmost point of the Nicobar Island or the Indira Point as an economic and strategic hub. For that, they are going to construct transshipment ports. Okay, so this is the Campbell Bay National Park. Very, very important. Let me clear this, you'll know. And also, you will see there is going to be development of greenfield infrastructural connectivity. 1 minute, wait. Yeah, so there's going to be Greenfield International Airport in order to enhance your connectivity. There's going to be establishment of around 450 MVA gas. This is nothing but mega volt ampere gas and solar based power plant for energy needs. And also there's going to be township infrastructure. So if you actually see, this is your Great Nicobar Island. Okay, Great Nicobar Island. So here there is going to be the international airport, and there is going to be international container transshipment terminal, and here there is actually going to be a power plant that is going to be set up. Okay, and here if you see, there's going to be development of township and area development. But there is also going to be a concern, right? Because you can see a national park over here, you can actually see a Galathea National Park over here. Okay, so here is your Campbell Bay, and here are the Galathea Bay, the Indira Point, etc. So this is how you need to know the map. Okay, from the map itself, establishing all this infrastructure is going to have some kind of consequences or repercussions on the ecosystem. Okay, so now moving forward, the strategic components. What are the strategic components, features of this project is that first one, it's going to be of strategic importance and significance, obviously, because it's located in the Galatea Bay. Here there is no human inhabitation. So what happens is that because of no human habitation, there is no problem of rehabilitating the people who are located there from another place, okay, due to the construction of this particular project. Next one, the expansion plans also include to bring the cruise terminal, shipbuilding, repair facilities, export import hubs, etc. Next one, the implementing agency is the ANIIDCO, that is nothing but Andaman and Nicobar Islands Integrated Development Corporation. Okay, now let us actually move forward. Here, what is the strategic and economic importance? Of course, I told you it is situated near the Malacca Strait. See, if you see here, this is the Malacca Strait. This is your Malacca Strait, and we have our Andaman and Nicobar group of islands over here, and Great Nicobar is over here. So it is located in proximity with this particular Malacca Strait, okay, which is a choke point that connects the Indian Ocean with the Pacific Ocean. This also enables India's navy as well as military presence over there and helps us in better surveillance, okay, because we are actually trying to counter the China's influence in this particular region. So this is the geostrategic significance of location of this particular port and this particular project. Next one, what is the economic potential? This GNI, that is Great Nicobar Island, will actually become what? The regional and global player in the cargo transshipments, and also it can actually play an important role in the integration of this place into, that is India, into the global maritime economy. And there will also be deployment of military assets like warships, missile systems, etc., thereby increasing or improving India's maritime security. So this is the economic as well as the national security potential of this particular project. However, it comes with a number of challenges. Of course, are the environmental challenges, because 1 million trees are actually supposed to be felled in order to improve this particular or to build upon this infrastructure project. So there is going to be mass or large scale deforestation. So that is number one, which is again going to affect your biodiversity. Next one, there is going to be destruction of coral reefs, and also the habitats of many important species like the leatherback turtles and the Nicobar megapod. All these species are going to be affected. That is going to cause an imbalance in the ecosystem. Next one, the tropical rainforest ecosystem constituting 15% of its landmass will be gone. Next one, the topsoil will be washed away because of deforestation. The mangroves in the area will actually be affected, right? And also there will actually be intrusion, or there will be release of sewage waste into the water bodies, and then habitat destruction will be there of many species. So these are all some of the effects. Next one, what are the impacts on the indigenous tribe over here? It's going to affect the PVTGs who actually have a protection under the Forest Rights Act of 2006, which actually provides a number of provisions with respect to that of your individual rights, and what are their community rights. And also it talks about what is the role of Gram Sabha and what is supposed to be the process of environmental impact assessment in order to give its assessment on the environmental credibility of a project. All that is going to be affected. Okay, so this is what it is. Now moving forward, this particular project is going to be located in a seismically active zone, because that island itself is in a seismically active zone, which has actually recorded a subsidence of around 15 feet after the 2004 tsunami. And also there are number of administrative issues, such as there is actually they are actually saying it has been criticized because there are inadequate consultations with the respective tribal councils, and also there is a lack of comprehensive impact assessment. Okay, that is both environmental as well as the social impact assessment has not been carried out properly, is what are the criticisms of this particular project. Now moving on to the next topic, that is we are going to discuss here about the regional rapid transit system. So from the name itself, you will actually understand this is going to reduce a lot of time that you spend on traveling, and also it's going to reduce a lot of congestion. Thereby it's going to have some kind of impact on the pollution, specifically in the NCR region, that is the National Capital Region of Delhi. So this becomes important for both the prelims and specifically for the mains under infrastructure, energy, ports, roads, airports, railways, etc. Now let's move forward to look at a previous year question. So how is efficient and affordable urban mass transport is key to the rapid economic development of India. So you need to know about how is the development of transportation in India and how it is going to enhance the economic development. So this particular topic becomes very important for discussion. Now let us actually see. On January 5th, that is yesterday, we had a Prime Minister who inaugurated the 13-kilometer, section, 13-kilometer Delhi section of the Delhi-Meerut RRTS, that is Regional Rapid Transit System. So there was the inauguration of this 13-kilometer Delhi section of Delhi-Meerut RRTS. Now let us actually see what it is about. Okay, so this actually connects the new Ashok Nagar in Delhi with Sahidabad, that is UP. See, locations are not very important. What is the aim and objective because of which what we are going to achieve, and how is the rapid transit system, getting evolved in India with technological advancements and other things, and how it is going to boost the employment, how it is going to boost the economic activities and the infrastructure of the country. All that becomes important. Okay, so it connects this area and it is milestone to the urban transportation landscape of India. And the broader initiative, it is a broader initiative to revolutionize the regional connectivity, reduce the travel time, because if you see Delhi to Meerut by road, it actually takes 90 minutes. Okay, but now through this particular corridor, it is going to be, or RRTS, it is actually going to be reduced to 40 minutes. And also promote sustainable development within the NCR by reducing the people actually have a lot of private vehicles, etc. Now there's a paradigm shift to public vehicles. So because of that, there is actually less of pollution and congestion. So this is what is the main idea behind it. Now, so this is what it is. If you see over here, this is the corridor. This is New Ashok Nagar and it actually goes on. So this entire RRTS is actually the 84-kilometer RRTS from Delhi to Meerut. Now a Delhi section alone has actually been inaugurated. So this is what it is. Okay, so 68 kilometers will be elevated and 13 kilometers will be underground, and then 3 kilometers at grade. So now let us actually move forward and see what is an RRTS system. So this is nothing but it is a cutting edge technology. That is, it has the high speed rail network in order to link the urban centers with the surrounding regions effectively. It is designed to, it is designed to operate at a speed of 180 kilometer per hour, but its operational speed, original speed with which it operates is 100 kilometers per hour. And here it fills the gap between the metro systems and long distance railways and offers seamless transportation. And global inspirations, if we see, we have these kind of systems in Paris. For example, we have the Rojo Express Regional. Okay, so here this is a high speed network connecting the suburbs to the city center. Similarly, we have systems in Germany, London, etc. All these actually enhancing the regional connectivity. So these are the examples. Now moving forward, what are the key features is that high speed connectivity. Of course, it's going to reduce the time of travel, right, from 90 minutes to 40 minutes, as I told you. Next one, dedicated infrastructure. It's going to have a combination of elevated as well as underground corridors. So this actually bypasses the road traffic, and frequent services are also provided. That is, you have train in every 15 minutes. Okay, addressing the huge commuter demand, and these are actually very spacious, air conditioned coaches, Wi-Fi is given, smart ticketing systems are there which you can go digitally, and also eco-friendly design because they are powered with solar powered stations, and they have regenerative braking systems, energy efficient technologies which will actually reduce the environmental footprint. And benefits, I told you, it's actually going to cause a lot of decongestion, and there is a shift from private vehicles to public vehicles. There is going to be economic integration, that is, the activity is going to increase towards regional development, and also it connects the peripheral towns with the cities, for example Meerut to that of Delhi. Next one, there are new businesses districts that can actually start along this transit corridor. So these business cities can actually grow. Next one, there is sustainability, I told you, and this actually helps India align with its climate targets as per the Paris Agreement, okay, 2015. There is going to be immense employment generation in terms of job, both during the construction and the operational phases, and this is going to boost the local economy and thereby supporting the ancillary industries, okay. So now let us actually see the entire length I told you about the corridor is 82 kilometers, and with 22 strategically located stations. The route, it actually starts at Sarai Khale Khan in Delhi, and where it actually ends, it ends in Meerut. The investment is, Delhi government has contributed 1260 crore to the project. The agency that takes care of this is the NCRTC, that is the National Capital Region Transportation Corporation, and it is actually a joint venture between the central government as well as the participating state government. Here, the funding is supported by multilateral loans as well as state contributions. Okay. Now, let us actually move to the last article of discussion, which is very, very easy. So, here this is actually there in the Delhi edition on page number 1 with respect to that of Todas. They are actually seen here, what to say, celebrating a small festival. So, they are a part of this particularly vulnerable tribal groups, and we'll be talking about Todas. Where do they actually reside? In the Nilgiri hills of Tamil Nadu, and this festival was actually held at Udagga Mandalam. This is nothing but Uti in Tamil Nadu. Okay, it's a hill station, right? So this becomes important for GS paper 1 as tribes and their associate, culture and everything. It can be discussed as a part of society. Now moving forward, looking at the previous year question, there was a question on the status of PVTGs in India, where they reside, which is the largest state that they have, how many people have been notified so far, how many PVTGs have been notified so far, who notifies, all this become important prelims pointers. Now, moving forward, let's see why this particular article was in the news. That is, the members of Toda tribe in the Nilgiri hills actually gathered around a Mumbu, that is called as a head temple in Udagamandalam, to celebrate the Maudworth festival. So, this is a kind of festival that they actually celebrate. Now, what is important for us is to understand about these particular tribal groups. So, these are indigenous tribal community who live in Nilgiri Hills, Tamil Nadu. And next one, they actually have a distinct culture. That is, they are involved in creation of intricately embroidered shawls, and they actually have distinctive crescent shaped huts. Okay, so you can see here, these are the crescent shaped huts, and they always have a pastoral lifestyle where buffalo herding as their primary livelihood, and also polytheistic belief system which is rooted in nature worship. Polytheistic is what? Having more than one belief system, and it is more surrounded by nature based worship also. And here, what do you mean by Mund? It is a Toda hamlet, which is actually small clusters of homes in which people reside, and also these people belong to the PVTG category. So let's quickly see who are PVTGs. So these are more vulnerable group of people among the tribal groups itself. Okay, so initially, if you see, in 1973 there was this commission called as Deva Commission. So they established a particular category called as the primitive tribal groups, that is the PTGs, in order to categorize more vulnerable people of this particular tribal section. And that what happened in 2006, it was renamed as particularly vulnerable tribal groups, that is the PVTGs. And the categorization or the identification of the PVTGs are done by the Ministry of Home Affairs, very, very important, and not by the Ministry of Tribal Affairs. And so far, around 75 PVTGs are identified in India, and your homework is to find out which state actually has the maximum constitution of PVTGs. Now, moving forward, what are all the criteria for identification of PVTGs? First one, They must not be technologically sound, that is pre-agricultural level of technology. Next one, they must have a very low level of literacy, and in terms of economy or finance wise, they should have financial or economic backwardness, and finally a declining number of population. So these are the four traits or characteristics by which the PVTGs are classified or identified. So now we are actually done with the PVTGs also, and let's quickly solve a mains practice question. So the question reads, examine the growing burden of NCDs in India. What are the key causes and consequences, and suggest the measures to combat the rising threat. So this is a 15 marker. So here, this particular approach answer is classified as the introduction, the body, as well as conclusion. So in the introduction, we will say India is actually facing a rising burden of NCDs, and this is actually straining India's healthcare infrastructure as well as costing India a lot, right, in terms of the economic losses. So we talk about what are in the body, we'll talk about what are the causes, what are the consequences. You become disabled, and then what you say, your productive hours or years of your life is gone, premature death is actually there. The economy is actually not performing better, and what the way forward is what we will discuss, and what are the measures forward, what are the global initiatives as well as the India's initiatives is what we will discuss over here. Now, in the conclusion, we need to talk about how it is important for us to, move towards preventive care rather than reactive care, is what was actually discussed with you in this article, as well as certain points were given in the way forward, right? So that you need to follow. Now, moving forward, let us actually solve few questions that I had taken up the previous day. So, blue baby syndrome is caused by the contamination of water with which of the following? Here, it is by nitrates, not nitrites, not sulfites, not sulfate. So, the water contamination with which of the toxins, or the metals or the non-metals, and what are the consequences of it? Okay, so arsenic or lead contamination leads to which of the following? That can also be a kind of question, is what we discussed. So it is nitrate. So your correct answer will be option C. The second question, with respect to human metapneumovirus, that is HMPV, it spreads through respiratory secretions, close personal contact, and contact with contaminated surfaces. Of course, yes. And it was first identified in 2001 and is part of the Pneumoviridae family, closely related to the RSV. This is also correct. So, since both the statements are correct, your answer will be option C. Now, moving forward, the next question is with respect to that of cross-border insolvency in India. We discussed about insolvency and bankruptcy, right? So here, the UNCITRAL, that is UN-CITRAL, that is trade laws and regulations, right? Here, on cross-border insolvency, provides standardized framework for resolving insolvency cases across jurisdictions. Yes, this is correct. And sections 234 and 235 introduced in the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code of 2016 are fully operational to address cross-border insolvency issues. No, they are not fully operational. Okay, so second statement is wrong. So what happens? Only one is correct. So your correct answer will be option A. Now moving forward, these are the questions that you need to solve, and by visiting our website, so that you can actually gauge your performance. So based on whatever you have actually heard today. So the first question is with respect to the Great Nicobar Island, hence certain prompts or sentences are actually given for you to identify what kind of flora are there, fauna are there, what is the characteristic of vegetation of the forest cover over there, etc. And moving forward, we have the next question with respect to that of Toda tribe, because tribes is a very, very important and a favorite question of the UPSC. So you need to know about that, whether they belong to the PVTGs. And finally, you have a question on the RRTS. So what is the kind of railways that is actually developed there, how it is going to increase the operational efficiency as well as the cost of, the time of travel, how it's going to reduce it, all that becomes important. So with this, we've actually come to the end of our DNA discussion session. So for more such interactive, videos as well as live sessions, please do like, share and subscribe to Narayana IAS Academy YouTube channel. So we'll meet you soon. Thank you and take good care.